A woman's strength is not just in what she reveals, but in what she wisely conceals. There is a sacredness and mystery, a power in holding back certain truths, not out of deception, but out of wisdom. In a world where vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, a woman must learn that some things are better left unspoken, not because they are not real, but because their revelation must be earned. There is a sacred space within every woman, a place where her deepest insecurities reside. Whispers of doubt, wounds from the past, and fears that have taken root over time. These insecurities, though invisible to the world, shape how she sees herself, how she loves, and how she allows herself to be loved. Yet, in a world that often preys on vulnerability, a woman must be discerning about whom she entrusts with these fragile parts of her soul. Not every person is meant to hold her fears in their hands, and not every man is worthy of seeing the battles she fights within. A woman's insecurities are not weaknesses, they are simply the weight she carries from experiences that have shaped her. Perhaps she was once abandoned, and now she fears being left behind. Perhaps she was told she wasn't good enough, and now she wrestles with self-doubt in every success. Perhaps she gave her heart too freely, only to have it broken, and now she hesitates to trust again. These insecurities are real and they are powerful, but they should never be laid bare before a man who has not earned the right to see them. There is a dangerous belief that love means exposing everything, that true intimacy requires complete transparency. But wisdom teaches otherwise. Love is not about handing someone the weapons that could destroy you. It is about building a foundation strong enough to hold both the light and the darkness. A woman must never mistake emotional exposure for connection. Not every man has the strength to carry her fears, nor the wisdom to reassure them without using them against her. Some men, whether intentionally or not, take advantage of a woman's insecurities. They learn what makes her afraid and use it to keep her small. They recognize her fear of being unloved and string her along, knowing she will cling to even the smallest display of affection. They see her struggle with self-worth and feed it with backhanded compliments, ensuring she never feels fully secure. A woman who exposes her deepest insecurities too soon risks becoming easy to control, not because she is weak, but because she has given someone access to the most fragile parts of her soul without knowing if they will treat them with care. But there is another danger, one far more subtle yet equally destructive. When a woman constantly speaks her insecurities aloud, she begins to live by them. She reinforces them, giving them power over her identity. If she constantly tells a man, "I'm not good enough," she teaches him to see her that way. If she repeatedly says, "I'm afraid you'll leave me," she introduces doubt into the relationship where there may have been none. Words are powerful, and the way a woman speaks about herself shapes not only how others see her, but how she sees herself. This does not mean a woman must pretend to be fearless. Strength is not the absence of insecurity, but the mastery of it. It is the ability to acknowledge fear without being ruled by it, to recognize self-doubt without allowing it to dictate her worth. She must learn to carry her insecurities with grace, working through them privately, growing from them, and trusting only those who have proven themselves worthy to help bear their weight. The right man, the one who truly sees her, will recognize her struggles even when she does not speak them. He will sense the quiet battles she fights, not because she has laid them at his feet, but because he has taken the time to understand her heart. He will not need to be reminded of her fears. He will naturally seek to protect her from them. He will not use her insecurities as leverage, but as an opportunity to uplift her. And when that kind of love is found, a woman will know it not because she has given every piece of herself away, but because she has been loved deeply, even in the spaces she chose to guard. A woman's greatest strength is in knowing what to share and what to keep sacred. Her insecurities are not flaws, they are parts of her journey. but they should never define her, never be placed in the hands of those who would misuse them, and never be spoken so often that they become her identity. She must guard her heart, not with walls of fear, but with wisdom, and when she does, she will find that the right man, the one worthy of her, will not need to be told every insecurity to love her fully. He will love her not because of her fears, but in spite of them, and in his love she will grow stronger than she ever thought possible. There is a quiet, unshakable power within every woman, a strength that moves mountains, endures storms, and reshapes the world around her. Yet this strength is not always meant to be fully revealed. A woman's power is most effective when it is wielded with wisdom, restraint, and a deep understanding of when to stand firm and when to let others wonder just how much she is truly capable of. A woman's strength is layered. It is not just physical endurance or the ability to handle hardship, but a force that manifests in her mind, her heart, and her spirit. It is in her ability to rise after every fall, to carry burdens no one sees, to love even when it hurts, and to fight battles that no one else dares to face. It is in the patience she shows when things are falling apart and the fire she carries when she refuses to let darkness win. But not everyone deserves to see the full extent of this strength. There are those who will seek to test her, to push her to her limits, to see just how much she can endure before she breaks. There are those who will take advantage of her resilience, who will expect her to carry more than her fair share simply because she can. And there are those who will mistake her kindness for weakness, her patience for passivity, and her grace for surrender. A woman must understand that revealing all of her strength at once is not always wise. It is often better to let others underestimate her, to let them think they have control, only to realize too late that she was always 10 steps ahead. A man who truly values a woman does not need to see her fight every battle to know she is strong. He will not force her into situations where she has to prove herself time and time again. He will recognize her power in the way she carries herself, in the way she navigates challenges without losing herself, and in the way she stands firm in her values. He will not test her strength by putting her through unnecessary hardship, but rather he will honor it by standing beside her, supporting her, and knowing that she is his equal, not his competition. There is also wisdom in knowing when to let others step up. A woman does not always have to be the strongest person in the room. She does not have to fight every battle alone, carry every burden without help, or prove her worth by enduring unnecessary suffering. True strength is not just in carrying the weight of the world. It is in knowing when to let someone else share the load. It is in allowing herself to be supported, to be cared for, to be protected, without feeling as though she is losing herself. The world often teaches women that to be strong means to be unbreakable, to never show weakness, to never let anyone see them struggle. But true power is not about being invulnerable. It is about knowing when to fight and when to retreat, when to push forward and when to hold back, when to show the full extent of one's strength and when to let others wonder just how much more lies beneath the surface. A woman must learn to guard her strength as she would guard her heart, revealing it only to those who are worthy, to those who will not take it for granted, to those who will not use it against her. The world is full of people who will try to drain a woman's energy, who will test her limits, who will take from her without ever giving in return. But she is not required to give her strength away freely. She is allowed to hold back, to keep some of her power in reserve, to let others believe they know her fully when in reality they have only scratched the surface. There is something powerful about being a mystery, about holding a quiet confidence that does not need constant validation, about knowing that when the time comes, she can rise, she can fight, she can win because she has always been strong, even when no one knew just how much. A woman's strength is her greatest asset, but it is also her greatest responsibility. She must be discerning in how she uses it, in who she shares it with, in how much she allows the world to see. There is wisdom in knowing that not everyone deserves access to the full extent of her power. Some will appreciate it, some will fear it, and some will try to break it. But the strongest woman is not the one who shows her power at all times. It is the one who knows exactly when and how to reveal it, leaving the world in awe of just how much more she is capable of. Love is often spoken of in grand terms: passion, devotion, commitment. But behind every enduring love story, there are sacrifices that few see. A woman's love is not merely about affection or attraction. It is a deep, unwavering force that moves her to give, to nurture, and to endure for the sake of something greater than herself. Yet the sacrifices she makes for love are not always obvious. They are quiet, often unseen, and yet they shape the very foundation of the relationships she holds dear. She sacrifices her time, pouring herself into the people she loves, ensuring their well-being before her own. She stays up late comforting someone in pain, wakes up early to make life a little easier for those around her, and rearranges her world to accommodate the needs of the people she holds close. It is not that she is forced to do so, it is that love calls her to, and she answers that call without hesitation. She sacrifices her comfort, stepping into roles she never imagined, taking on burdens that were never hers to carry, simply because love demands strength in moments of weakness. She chooses patience when frustration would be easier. She chooses forgiveness when resentment would be justified. She chooses to hold on even when the world tells her to let go. There is a quiet kind of courage in this, a kind that few recognize, but one that holds relationships together when everything else threatens to pull them apart. She sacrifices parts of herself, sometimes setting aside personal dreams or ambitions, adjusting her plans for the good of those she loves. A woman in love does not merely think of herself. She considers the whole picture, the needs of her family, the desires of her partner, the responsibilities that come with commitment. Yet, the greatest challenge is in knowing how much to give. Love should never require a woman to lose herself completely. The right love does not take away her identity, but rather encourages her to grow within it. There are moments when love asks her to be strong when she feels weak, to stand firm when she wants to collapse, to believe in the goodness of another even when disappointment has visited her heart. She sacrifices the desire to always be right, the need to be fully understood, the longing to always have things go her way. Instead, she learns the art of compromise, of grace, of allowing love to be bigger than pride. And yet, despite all she gives, she asks for so little in return. Not wealth, not grand gestures, not constant praise, just love, loyalty, and the reassurance that her sacrifices are seen, valued, and never taken for granted. She does not love for the sake of recognition, but even the strongest heart needs to know that its sacrifices are not made in vain. Her sacrifices are not a weakness, but a testament to her strength. To love deeply is to give deeply, and she does so not out of obligation, but because love is woven into the very fabric of who she is. She understands that real love is not just about happiness and ease, but about endurance, effort, and a willingness to fight for something greater than herself. And though love may ask much of her, the right love will never demand more than she can give. The right love will honor her sacrifices, will protect the pieces of herself she has offered, and will never require her to lose herself entirely. For the greatest sacrifice a woman can make is not in what she gives, but in ensuring that her love is placed in hands that cherish it as fiercely as she gives it. A woman's future is hers to shape, hers to dream about, and hers to build. Her ambitions, desires, and the vision she has for her life are sacred. They are the foundation of who she is and who she is becoming. And yet, when love enters the picture, it can be tempting to intertwine those dreams too soon with someone else's path, to hand over the blueprint of her future before she has the certainty of his commitment. But a wise woman understands that not every man deserves to know her deepest plans, especially if he has not yet proven that he is willing to stand beside her as she builds them. Love at its best is a partnership. It is two people walking together, supporting each other's goals, encouraging each other's success, and making decisions that benefit them both. But when commitment is uncertain, when his words are vague, his actions inconsistent, his intentions unclear, a woman must be careful about how much of her future she reveals. Not because she is deceptive, not because she lacks trust, but because her future is too valuable to place in the hands of someone who has not yet decided if he is willing to hold it with care. A woman who shares every detail of her plans with a man who is not committed may unknowingly give him the power to shape, influence, or even delay those dreams. She risks adjusting her path for someone who has not yet decided to walk it with her. She may begin compromising on her goals, making room for someone who may never fully stay, and in doing so, she places her future in a position of uncertainty, hinging it on the actions of someone who has not yet earned that level of trust. It is not about secrecy. It is about wisdom. It is about understanding that her future is hers first, and any man who wishes to be a part of it must first prove that he is willing to commit, to invest, and to build alongside her. A man who truly loves her, who respects her and values her, will never expect her to alter her future for him unless he has made it clear that he intends to be in it. He will not ask her to wait in uncertainty, to sacrifice her dreams for his convenience, or to pause her journey while he decides if he wants to walk with her. There is power in holding back, in keeping certain things to herself until the right time. A woman who values her future does not rush to hand over the keys to it. She builds quietly, works diligently, and moves forward with strength. She does not beg for commitment or seek validation by oversharing her plans in the hope that he will finally see her worth. Instead, she stands firm in her purpose, knowing that the right man will see her determination and will step up, not because she asks, but because he recognizes the value of a woman who knows where she is going. A man who truly cares will not need to be convinced of her worth. He will not need to be persuaded to commit. He will see the fire in her, the ambition, the drive, and he will want to be a part of it. He will not feel threatened by her independence, but inspired by it. And when that kind of man comes along, then, and only then, should she reveal the depths of her vision, knowing that she is sharing it with someone who will protect, honor, and support it. Until then, she must keep moving forward. She must continue building, planning, and striving for the life she envisions without waiting for anyone to validate it. Her future is too precious to gamble on uncertainty, too valuable to place in hands that are not ready to hold it. And the man who is meant to walk with her will meet her on that path, not as someone who slows her down, but as someone who runs beside her, fully committed, fully invested, and fully ready to build a future together. A woman often holds more power over a man than she realizes, not through force, not through manipulation, but through her presence, her energy, and the way she carries herself. The power she holds is not about control, it is about influence. It is about the way she makes him feel when he is around her, the way she inspires him to be more, and the way she challenges him without ever needing to demand it. A wise woman understands this power, but an even wiser woman knows when to use it and when to hold it back. Men may appear strong, confident, and unmoved on the surface, but even the most powerful man is affected by the woman he loves, a glance, a word, an expression. These small things have the ability to build him up or shake his foundation. When a woman believes in a man, when she respects him and supports his vision, she gives him strength beyond what he thought he had. She becomes the force that drives him to become better, to work harder, to push past his limits. She holds the ability to ignite something within him that no one else can. But just as a woman can lift a man, she can also break him. Her disappointment cuts deeper than 1,000 battles. Her silence can be louder than any argument. Her loss of faith in him can destroy him in ways he won't admit. This is not because he is weak, but because her opinion matters more than she knows. He may not always show it, but deep down, he seeks her approval, her admiration, her love. A woman who recognizes this power does not use it carelessly. She does not belittle him or make him feel small. She understands that her influence can shape the man he becomes, and she chooses to wield it with grace. The strongest women are not the loudest. They do not demand respect. They command it through their actions, their poise, and their unwavering standards. A man knows when he is in the presence of a woman of value. He feels it in the way she carries herself, in the way she refuses to accept less than what she deserves. He recognizes that she is not desperate for his attention, but that she chooses him. And that choice, that willingness to be with him, not out of need, but out of desire, is what makes her so powerful in his eyes. Yet power is not just about what she gives him, it is also about what she withholds. A woman who understands her worth does not beg for love, does not chase, does not lower her standards for a man who is unwilling to rise. She knows that her presence is a privilege, not a right. She does not waste her energy trying to prove her value to someone who does not recognize it. She walks away when she is not respected, and in doing so, she forces him to see what he stands to lose. Men are drawn to women who challenge them, who inspire them, who make them think. A woman who is mysterious, who does not reveal everything at once, keeps him intrigued. She does not give away all her affection, all her emotions, all her attention immediately. She allows him to earn it, to prove himself worthy of her heart. This is not manipulation, it is self-respect. It is the quiet confidence of a woman who knows she is enough, whether or not he sees it. A man may be strong in many ways, but his greatest strength often comes from the woman beside him. The woman who believes in him, who speaks life into him, who challenges him to rise to his potential. The woman who does not settle for less than the best version of him. This is the power she holds, not to control him, but to awaken him, to remind him of who he is meant to be. And the man who truly values her will not take that power for granted. He will cherish it, respect it, and rise to meet it.